All right, I'm going to summarize the next couple of days. So I had the new wheel on the bike, and I left this little town and headed for Phoenix. I left about 3 o'clock in the morning because I was going to ride across the desert. I only had about 80 miles to go. And from training, I knew I could make those 80 miles in 4 to 5 hours. So I was going to crank. So I got out there and I started cranking towards Phoenix. And I was cranking and cranking. And if you remember, I now had either 4 or 5 spare inner tubes, but I wasn't worried because we had a new wheel on this bike. Now, before I got to Phoenix, I had 4 or 5 flats. I went through every one of those inner tubes and had nothing left. Now, luckily, a state trooper stopped when he saw me sitting alongside of the road, and I told him what had happened. So he allowed me to load my bicycle into the back of his state trooper truck, and he said he'd take me up to McDonald's, which I could see. It was only about 5 miles up the road. So, and I was afraid actually before he stopped that I'd have to push the bicycle with the flat across the desert those 5 miles. But because of that state trooper, I did not. He took me up and dropped me at that McDonald's, which is a suburban 20 miles outside of Phoenix. And I called my one of my Marine Corps buddies and asked him to come get me, which he did. He lives in Phoenix, and he took about 2 hours because he wasn't expecting me to be there that soon. Actually, he was expecting me to ride straight to his house, which was the original plan. And he picked me up, took me to his house, and we actually dropped the bicycle off at a bicycle shop. And I told them about the 15 tire changes I had done, or inner tube changes I had done. I said, it's got to be the tire. And they looked and said, it's not the tire, man. We know exactly what it is. We run into this all the time. People don't understand how to take care of bikes in the desert. An enlightened bicycle shop. So they said what it is. They took it apart, and they said, you see this little rubber seal around the inside of the wheel? When you're riding in the desert, it gets really hot. You've got a double seal. We triple seal. We put rubber everywhere in there. That'll fix it. It won't get hot, and then pinch your tire and get you a flat. So they did it. Triple sealed it. Put a new inner tube in, put the tire back on, fixed the bike back up. I bought a couple more inner tubes from them. Why not, man? So then I went back to my friend's house, and a day or two later took off. Rode across Phoenix, a little rough downtown, but got on this terrific bicycle path they had in Phoenix. Rode for 20, 25 miles to Interstate 75. Then I was getting on Interstate 75 and riding from Phoenix up to Flagstaff, which is 70 miles. I was going to make it in 3 legs. Yeah. So I rode up the first leg, and it was about 10 or 15 miles up 75. Now, 75 is extremely steep. If you're going from Phoenix up to Flagstaff, it has some really long, arduous hills. So I knew I'd take 3 days to cross this because I was going to break it into 20-mile chunks and take all day. There's no hurry. So I got to this campground. They were gracious enough to let me just stay there, and that's where I spent the night. So I get up the next morning and get all my gear, get ready to go, take out, get back on the Interstate 75, and I start riding up. Now, Interstate 75 is, as I said, very steep. And the trucks ride when they're going uphill in, I don't know, first, second gear, it's like 10 miles an hour, really slow with the flashing lights. And you come up to these areas where the hills were like not aligned, and there'd be big signs, danger, heavy crosswinds. So I'm on my bike just cranking up this killer hill as slow as I could go. I mean, the trucks that are doing 5, 10 miles an hour, they're passing me. So I pass one of these signs that says danger, crosswinds. And as I'm passing it, there's a truck that's between me and the highway. He's passing me on my left, and there's a guardrail on my right. Now, on the other side of the guardrail are cactus going down the hill, a bunch of cactus. I show you a little picture here, and it wasn't like that. It was just loaded with cactuses with these big briars. So after this truck gets past me, I catch this tremendous burst of wind that literally blew me off the bicycle. I flew off the bicycle, hit the rail, went over the rail, reached back and grabbed it to stop me from rolling down that hill into those cactus. That was it. I crawled back up, put my bicycle back up. Actually, I was at the top, almost at the top of a hill. So I went over a hill, rode down to this little rest area, called my Phoenix buddy again, asked him to come get me. He did. He came and got me. He said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "Go back to the bicycle store." So we went back to the bicycle store. I went into the store and I said, "Do you guys know bike flights?" And they said, yeah, we're partners. I said, "Well, box this sucker up and ship it." And I gave him my address. Then I told my friend, "Okay, let's go to the airport." So we went to the airport. Actually, first we went to FedEx and I packaged all my stuff up, again in FedEx boxes, and I shipped it to my house. Then he took me to the airport and I got on a plane and I flew back to Dallas. And that was the end of that. Getting blown off that bike and almost rolling down that hill was the closest I came to getting killed since the Vietnam War. That was it for me. The end of the trip. Epilogue. So we finally figured out what all the flats were from. When I got back to Dallas, I took my bicycle back to my favorite bicycle store. I chewed them out for not showing me that it had a different method of changing the tire than the one I'd ever done before. Then I told him I'd gone through 15 tire changes. It had to be the tire because it was a new wheel. Again, there, dude, not the tire, best made. So he says, "I'll show you." He pulls it off and he's running his hand through it. And all of a sudden he screams, "Ah!" Pulls his hand out and his finger is spurting blood. Taps it on off. So then him and the other guy start looking in there and he goes, here it is. One of those bands, those metal bands, the radial bands that make the tire so strong, was broke. So a sharp piece of this metal was sticking out. It was a defective tire all along. Those 3 bicycle stores, not the tire, were wrong. It was the tire. So they gave me a new tire, put it on for me, warranty. It was the tire. I've been riding that bicycle now for 8 years. I don't even carry spares anymore. I've never had another flat. Now, if I didn't have all those flats and misadventures, do I think I would have made it? Honestly, no. Do I think I would have made it a lot further? Honestly, yes. I might have made it. I don't know. Does that make me want to go back and do it again? No. So since then, my life's been, I have a good life. I haven't had any weird things happen to me after that bicycle trip, which was 8 years ago. Well, that trip to New Zealand, then it's some pretty weird things happen. Kind of like the bicycle trip. Do you want to hear about it?